Yo, 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 what's happening? It's your boy, Brother Royce. One time for your mind, though. And I won't be on here long at all. I really don't do these videos like that. You know what I'm saying? I won't be on here for long. Got work to do, got music to make, got podcasts to edit, got businesses to keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to come on here and I wanted to talk about something. I wanted to clarify something because I saw something and it disturbed me. It disturbed me very much, and I wanted to talk about it. And I saw this little article that they just posted. In the article says reimagining Africa or reimaging Africa. You see what I'm saying? Reimaging Africa. So you know, if anybody knows me, I believe in Pan-Africanism. I believe that we do need to go back to our roots and understand who we used to be as a people. I believe that this is necessary for connecting with God. I believe that it is necessary for connecting with each other. I believe that it is necessary for us even understanding the revelation of what it means to be a son of God. You see what I'm saying? Even the Bible says, out of Egypt, I have called my son. You see what I'm saying? So I think the condition of the black community is due to a lack of identity. And in one of the letters that I read all the time, it's called Willie Lynch, The Making of a Slave. And the whole premise of the book, Willie Lynch, The Making of a Slave, is that they would use the same principles that they use on breaking wild horses on the black slave. So in order for them to break the black slave, they do the same thing that they used to break in the horse, and they take a horse out of the wild. They take a horse out of its nature, because in nature the horse can it can feed itself. It can take care of itself. In nature, the horse is completely independent. So now when you take the horse out of its nature, now you put the horse in a state by which it has to depend on someone else in order to be taken care of, because you've taken the horse out of its element. And they use the same thing with the black man. Take the black man out of his nature and separate the black man, not only physically, but also separate him mentally from his nature. And now you put them in a foreign place, a foreign condition. Remember something: when you go fishing and you take fish out of the ocean, if you leave the fish free in the boat, the fish will keep trying to jump back in the ocean. It'll keep trying to jump back where it came from. And even Willie Lynch said, even though we are a bunch of psychologists getting together to program the mind of the slave, the human mind has a strong drive to recorrect itself. So if we don't put certain walls and boundaries and certain precautions in place, then the black mind, even after being mentally programmed, will continue to recorrect itself back the way it used to be in Africa. So the things that they put in place is what we now call the ghettos, what we now call the hoods. Even when you send your children off to these schools, to these public schools are teaching off the same criteria that Willie Lynch dictated is what you need to keep in place in order to keep the black man's mind in this abnormal state of being that it has been psychologically programmed to be. You see what I'm saying? So one of the conditions, right, of this Willie Lynch thing, it said, first of all, you take the strong black slave, the black slave that won't submit, the black slave that's just rebel, the black, the Fred Hampton slave, the Malcolm X slave, the Marcus Garvey slave. You take the slave that everyone sees as their protective image. You take the slave that everyone sees as their king, as their symbol of strength, and you kill him in the most horrible and gruesome way possible in front of all the slaves. And then you take the next strongest slave and you beat the slave half to death. You don't kill him, but you beat the slave half to death. so that you leave the fear inside of that slave. And then you send that slave to be back among the other slaves in the field. So now, after doing this, they notice that this causes a complete reversal in gender roles, because they do all of this in front of the pregnant slave woman. So what happens when the pregnant slave woman sees the black masculine image being demasculinized, being emasculated in front of her like that, the black African king image being killed and cut the skin off and fettered and hung, when she sees the image of black masculinity being killed in front of her like that, it causes the mother to now train the black children in reversed gender roles. The love of the mother, it causes her to train the children in reversed gender roles. So now she trains the child to be weak and submissive, because she saw what happened. She has been programmed that this is what we as your oppressors are going to do to every strong black male. So the love that the black mother has for the black child, she will train that child to be weak mentally yet physically strong. Because a black male that is good labor, that picks a lot of cotton, that is the perfect worker for the slave master, is the one that is guaranteed to be the safest, even though they still get whipped as well. But the black slave that will not submit, that will keep trying to motivate the other slaves to hold on to their freedom, that is the one who is most likely to be killed. So when they brought the slaves over and they killed the king, the strongest slave in this gruesome image, this trained the black mother to now train the black boy to be weak. And now this trained the black mother to train the black female to be independent. Because Willie Lynch said that he noticed that when he brought the slaves over, the man was the king. And everyone looked to the man for guidance, for hope, for strength, for courage, for bravery, for motivation. And he noticed that the African woman had a strong dependency upon the black male's strength. So Willie Lynch knew that we need to get to the pregnant mother, because the pregnant mother will train all of the future generations. But we cannot get to the pregnant black mother as long as the black male king masculine image is still in place. So first, we have to get rid of the black male in the household. I'm bringing it to today's terms. We have to get rid of the black male in the household. We have to emasculate the black male before the black woman. Now this leaves the black mother vulnerable, so that now we can program her to how we want her to train the future generation. You see what I'm saying? So now, with the image by which the black woman was trained by African culture to be dependent on, with that image destroyed, now this puts the black woman in a frozen state of independence, because her symbol of strength has been destroyed. So now she trains the black girl to now be independent, to not depend on any black male, because you never know when they'll be sold to another plantation. You never know when they'll be killed. You never know when they'll be murdered. You never know when they'll be whipped to death. So to keep from having to relive this pain, or to keep from experiencing false hope, or to keep from attaching to something that you don't even know is going to be there tomorrow, the black woman then begin teaching the black slave to be independent, yet submit to the oppressor, whatever he asks you to do. Whether it's sex, whether it's exploitation, no matter what he asks you to do, submit to him. But to the black male, don't get too attached, because they can be taken away at any point in time. So when Willie Lynch noted this, that this created a reverse in gender roles for the African American slave, Willie Lynch said in order to keep this Willie Lynch mindset going for the next 300 to 400 years, You have to maintain this reversal in gender. How you doing, Barbara? What's happening? What's happening? I saw something that it disturbed my spirit, Barbara, so I had to speak on it, because if we don't get out here and we don't educate our people and let our people know what's going on, our people will continue perishing from a lack of knowledge. So remember what I always teach: when you truly have love, love compels you to action. You can't say you have love and you're seeing the destruction of people all around you, but you're sitting quiet. If you truly have the love of God, it will compel you. It will move you to action. So I just saw something that moved me. So I'm just speaking on that, and I won't even be on here long. But I always say that, but I won't be on here long, Barbara. Yes, we're talking about the Willie Lynch. We're talking about the Willie Lynch and how killing, destroying the black male image of strength, it created reverse gender roles in the black community. And you can go back to the beginning of the video to get the whole spiel on that. So now Willie Lynch said, now we must now keep this reversal in gender roles in place so that we can lock in everything that we've done. Because Willie Lynch was not looking to create a system that he had to oversee every day. Willie Lynch was looking to create something that could be self-perpetuating. You see what I'm saying? So I like something that David Banner said. He said, do you believe that the FBI and the government coerced the Nation of Islam into killing Malcolm X? Or do you believe that the government or the FBI coerced gang members into killing Tupac, killing B.I.G.? Do you believe that they coerced someone into shooting Ron DMC in the head? All of these strong black male images in our communities that was killed by black people, which is the real issue. Do you believe that the FBI was behind it? And I like David Banner's answer. What David Banner said, he said the only thing that they, in essence, in summary, he said the only thing that they were behind was the programming of the mind that did that. But he was saying that I don't believe that somebody was coerced into doing it. I believe that it is the way that we have been programmed to destroy our male images of strength. Look at Umar Johnson. Umar Johnson right now has stood up and he is defending the black family units. And he is saying that I believe that the best thing for a black man is to be with a black woman. Now, that's not what I'm here to talk about, but that's the stance that he took. His stance, and he said, this is my own opinion. I'm not presenting this as gospel. This is my own opinion. But I believe that the best thing for the black man is to be with someone who can understand his struggle. And we can get into that in another video. But what I want to highlight in this video is the response that came. It wasn't white people or FBI or CIA or government or Donald Trump that stood up and attacked Umar Johnson. It was other black people. It was Roland Martin, a professed black leader in the community. But you have to be careful of these black leadership organizations that's standing on the platform of the system. The system will never give a platform to anything that will cut the legs from under it. The system is built on the backs of slave labor. So the system will never give a platform to anything that can truly liberate the black slave force. It will give a platform to something that can pamper them and make them feel like they have a voice and something that can calm them down. But the system will never give a platform to anything that can truly destroy it. And as long as this system is standing, the black man can never be free. So if the system is the enemy of the oppressed, then it will never truly give a platform to anything that can truly set the oppressed free. So Roland Martin, who is a professed black leader, but has a platform on the system's television show, he called Umar Johnson on the show with 3 other black people. How you doing, Lawrence, man? What's happening, man? I ain't seen you since class, man. What's good with you? Hope all is well with you, man. Hope the gig going well, man. He called Umar Johnson on with 3 other professed black scholars and leaders, and they all took turns attacking him. Now, my thing is this: if you don't agree with Umar Johnson's stance that a black man should be with a black woman because that is the best thing for him, that's his opinion. You don't have to agree at all. But at least as a fellow black man, you should be able to understand where he's coming from. Even if you don't subscribe, even if you don't agree, even if you don't champion it, and you feel that love is love, okay, all right. But for you to now, as a fellow black man, attack this black man who is only standing up for the black woman, it shows the programming of Willie Lynch. You see what I'm saying? Classic examples going on around us every day. People have come to me and said, oh, the Willie Lynch letter isn't real. The Willie Lynch letter is made up, whatever. You can see the Willie Lynch letter around you each and every single day. I can pull real life examples from this morning. I'm hopping on an example, right? I'm talking about an example that just happened, that I just seen a couple of hours ago. So you can say that it's not real, but you see Willie Lynch going on around us every single day. The ghetto is the products of Willie Lynch. You see what I'm saying? And Willie Lynch said, in order to keep this mindset going, you must maintain the reverse gender roles that is a product of Willie Lynch programming. See? So now you have all these professed leaders standing up, and it was a lady on the Hidden Colors series. She's the lady who has the big hat, light-skinned lady. I believe she's a Muslim. But she said it best. And I like this lady because she is in favor of the black unit, keeping the black family together, whatever it may have you. But she said it best. A lot of the causes and a lot of the things that the black community is championing are not issues in the black community at all. What we have begun doing, and Malcolm X warned us about this, we have become pawns in white liberals' war for control from white conservatives. White liberals right now want to take control back from white conservatives. And I'm not in favor of white conservatism. I'm not in favor of white liberalism. Whatever. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. What I'm saying is that is not all war to begin with. But white liberals are using black manpower as a means to try to usurp power from the white conservatives that are running the country right now. So what she said, and I believe it, she said after Martin Luther King was killed in the civil rights era, the black struggle, black oppression became the focus point of all the world. Whites were flying in from all over the world to support, not take over, but support the black struggle. She said instantly after Martin Luther King was killed, they made a decision that we will never let the black struggle become a focus point of the world ever again. We will keep them isolated from the rest of the world, because truly the black struggle is the struggle of every oppressed person all over the world. So they will keep the blacks from connecting to other people being oppressed all over the world. They will isolate them. Because there is a reason that they compared the black man to the horse in the Willie Lynch letter. Black people are manpower. We are force. We are strength. That's why they call the black man gorillas. They call us apes. They call us monkeys, humanoids, because gorillas are so strong. They look like humans. They have all the anatomy of humans, but they're 10 times stronger than a human. That's why they call us apes. That's why they call us monkeys, because
the glory of the black race, and every race has their own glory, their own individual defining attribute. But the glory of the black race is strength. So there may be people all over the world going through oppression, but what these different races and ethnicities that are going through the same levels of oppression in different degrees, going through different degrees of oppression lack. They lack the manpower that is attributed, the manpower that is in the black community. And if the black community is allowed to connect to these other oppressed people across the world, then that manpower could be used for worldwide liberation. So I understand where other groups are going. I can understand why Black Lives Matter, even though they started off as a police brutality group, they ended up in Palestine, and that was right away. That was right away. I'm talking about these boys who got killed by police brutality wasn't even in the ground good before Black Lives Matter flew over to Palestine and started fighting Israel. And my first thing was, what are y'all doing over there? We still getting shot in the streets in the hood. What are y'all doing over there? And then Black Lives Matter began championing the feminist movement, championing the LGBTQ movement. I even seen that Black Lives Matter was planning to talk about liberation struggles in the United Kingdom. And based on what I just said, I understand that. I get that. But number one, before we can fight the struggles of other oppressed people all over the world, first we have to find liberation for ourselves. How can one man in jail set free somebody else who's in jail? Both of us are in chains. Both of us is in bondage, but I'm trying to set you free. How does that work? It don't work like that. When the black man learns to liberate himself, then he will understand how to liberate other people. But the black man hasn't even learned how to liberate himself. We haven't even learned our identity yet. We don't even know who we are yet. The black community is the biggest consumers of skin bleaching products. The black community is the biggest consumers of other people's hair. The dashikis that black people wear, most of that stuff is sewn in China and Vietnam. We don't even sell our own clothing. That's why I'm trying to start this African clothing line, because these African clothings are made in Ghana by African hands, by black hands. Black people don't even control their own economy. Black people have not even restored the family unit in the black community. We are a broken and battered and crushed and confused and disoriented people. But every time we try to come together and gather together to try to deal with the issues in our community, white liberals or other interest groups always infiltrate these circles and sidetrack us into other battles. I have no problem with other races supporting the black struggle. But now when you come into the black struggle and you take over the black struggle and you take us completely away from what we're fighting for, that shows that you do not have the interest of the black man at heart. Even if black in lives is in your mantra, is on your banner, is in your title, that shows that you don't truly have the interests of the black man in mind. So when I read Willie Lynch that says the reverse gender roles in the black community is a result of the indoctrination and the killing of the black male image in front of the black woman, that the reverse gender roles in the black community is a result of Willie Lynch. And now you have organizations like Black Lives Matter championing homosexuality and lesbianism and transgenderism. Then you are not Black Lives Matter. You are from the enemy with a black face. I'm going to say it again. I can understand that we as black people who are under slavery, we feel the need to go and try to help other people who we feel are being oppressed. I can understand that. But number one, we don't even know who we are yet. Number two, we are not even free from our own oppression. So when Willie Lynch, the slave master indoctrinator, says that the reversed gender roles in the black community is a result of Willie lynching, that breaking up the family units in the black community is a necessity if you want to destroy the black nation. Let me tell you something. Whenever people come to me and be like, oh, Royce, how come when you talk, you only want to talk to black people? Let's address everybody going through oppression at the same time. I understand that. I understand Fred Hampton. I love Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was an asset to the Black Panthers. R.I.P., rest in peace. But Fred Hampton ain't dead, because you can't kill a revolution. That man is alive and well. You see what I'm saying? But be that as it may, I can understand that. But the reason why I don't feel the need to have to address every single person when dealing with the black issue is because everybody knows that there are 7 things that is needed for the fundamental running of any nation. Every nation in this world, there are 7 common things that is needed for the health and well-being of every nation. They call them the 7 mountains of influence. The 7 mountains of influence that is needed for the stability of any nation is government, family, education, economics, spirituality, arts and entertainment. Those are 6. And I don't remember the other one at this time, but education, arts and entertainment, media, that's number 7. Media, education, arts and entertainment, family, spirituality, government, which is politics, and economics. Those are the 7 things that dictates the direction of every nation. So, do blacks control their own news outlets? No. Do blacks control their own arts and entertainment distribution? No. The closest thing we had was Spike Lee. Do blacks control their own economy? No. Do blacks educate their own people? No. Are blacks in control of the politics that affects the black community? No. Is the black church, which is religion, spirituality, doing what the black church is supposed to be doing? No. And is the black family unit intact? No. So if you are claiming to be a black organization representing black interests and you are not tackling these 7 things, then you are suspect. I believe you to be infiltration. Malcolm X said, see, you cannot be, to all my up and coming revolutionaries in this generation, you cannot be a revolutionary, especially a black revolutionary in this generation, if you haven't studied the foundation that your fathers have set. I see people who are claiming to be black revolutionaries, but you haven't studied Malcolm X. You haven't studied Garvey. You haven't really studied King. You haven't studied the ones that went before you. You haven't studied the Black Panthers, the strengths, the weaknesses, the failures and successes of our fathers who went before us. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. All we have to do is pick up the torch that our fathers left behind. And the reason why the black revolution of this generation has gone so astray is because we have strayed from the black revolutionaries who have gone before us. We have strayed. Malcolm X said there was two movements in his day, the Negro movement and the Black movement. Malcolm X said the Negro movement is controlled by foxy white liberals and by the government itself. But the Black movement is only controlled by God. So Malcolm X was speaking of his movement, and he was speaking of the Martin Luther King movement. And he called the Martin Luther King movement the Negro movement. But he called his movement the Black movement. His movement focused on building economic infrastructures in Harlem and setting up businesses and dealing with these 7 pillars that every nation needs to run effectively. Every nation knows this, but ain't nobody coming down and telling us this. You see that the Black community, all 7 pillars in the Black community has been broken. And though every nation in the world knows that these 7 pillars are the stability of every nation, ain't nobody came down and be like, hey, black man, you ain't going nowhere until you deal with these 7 things in your community. Why? Because everybody in the world has learned how to benefit and profit off of the current condition of the Black community. So I'm not going to deal with Black economics, because the reason that Blacks are going to jail is because of economic disparage, of economic disenfranchisement in the Black community. So because Blacks don't control their own economy, because Blacks do not have an economic infrastructure in their community, that is why these young Black youth are on the streets robbing and killing and murdering each other. So the other nations are not going to come and be like, listen, let us help the Black community build an economic infrastructure so that we can get these Black people off the streets robbing and killing each other. No. What do they do? They go and invest in privatized prisons, which makes money off every head in the prison cells. You see, what do? They set up stores in our community that sells us things that only we use. Only we consume. Black hair, weaves, and wigs. No other nation consumes that. But every other nation is a part of the distribution of black hair weaves. Chinese and Vietnamese and Indian. Every nation is a part of the distribution of black hair, but only Black people are consumers. So if we can't sell the things that only we are the consumers of, that shows how bad the economic issue is in our community. If you go in Walgreens, if you go in Walmart, they're selling African black soap. They're selling African black soap, African shea butter in Walgreens. Where is our Black-owned stores to sell our own products? But when you go into a store that is Black-owned, the first thing you see when you walk in the store is that they're selling skin bleaching creams and skin bleaching lotions. You see? That is the mindset right now that the black man is in. So if you are an organization claiming to be for the betterment of black people, and you are not dealing with these issues, then you are infiltration. See, back in the Black Panther days, if the government wanted to infiltrate your organization, they would send somebody in who was wearing a wire. They're not doing that no more. They infiltrate the black liberation struggles through Eurocentric concepts and ideas. The new black infiltration is mental. It's not physical no more. So I was with an organization that was teaching on infiltration in the black community. And in the workshop, they was teaching about how to check your phone for wiretaps. They were teaching about how to check your Facebook and how to check your Instagram to make sure that it's not being monitored and surveillance by FBI. That's old news, my man. The way that black organizations are being infiltrated in this generation is mentally. Hey man, I know we are fighting against police brutality in the black community, but you know what I think we need to fight too? We need to go over to Palestine and fight against Israel. Well, wait, why are we going over there? Oh, because the same imperialist countries that fund the police department is the same imperialist countries that is funding the Israelites to disenfranchise the Palestine people. So if we can destroy these imperialist countries over there, then we can cripple them over here. And the black man is like, all right, yeah. That sounds about right. All right, good. Let's go to Palestine. Left the hood. What? I went to a workshop by a black leadership organization, famous one. And in this workshop, they was teaching redefining gender roles. What does it mean to be a man, and what does it mean to be a woman in 2017? Black leadership, black liberation organizations is teaching this stuff. You are a leader for black liberation. You are a leader for black freedom. And you are teaching. Today's workshop is going to be on redefining gender roles in the black community. Your sexual, what is it? Your sexual anatomy does not define your sexual gender. What? This is what is being taught in the black organizations that are supposed to be fighting for leadership? That is infiltration. Infiltration of Eurocentric concepts into African American liberation movements. Like I said before, Willie Lynch said that the reverse gender roles in the black community is a result of slavery. So instead of fighting to restore the black family, we have black liberation movements fighting to support feminism. What did we say? The slave masters that brought us over said the slave woman had a strong dependence on the African male. And the independent slave woman is only a result of the black woman having the black masculine image stripped away from her in such a violent and gruesome way. But now you have black organizations that claim to support liberation, supporting black woman feminism, which started in Europe. It's not an Afrocentric argument at all. They said when the black man, the slave master said, when the black slaves came over, the black male image was the strength and the structure of the black household. It was the order of the black household. But now you have black liberation organizations teaching that black masculinity is patriarchal. We're speaking against black patriarchy. The black man needs to be more soft and understanding. This is another form of the emasculation of the black male strength and masculinity that Willie Lynch perpetrated in the beginning. In a different form, but being preached by a black face. And how did that happen? Well, you know, when hip hop came, the culture of the black man calling the black woman a bitch and a whore came. So now, people took advantage of this and started saying, you know what? All black masculinity is wrong. And they begin to equalize black masculinity with the black male calling the black woman a bitch and a whore. That's not the same thing. Black masculinity is not calling your black woman a bitch or a whore. Black masculinity is not abusing your black woman. To understand what black masculinity is, you must go back to your African, your Al-Kabulan culture. Black masculinity is the protecting of the black woman. But the black woman that is still unconsciously indoctrinated by Willie Lynch would say, we don't need you to protect me. The very fact that a black man thinks that a black woman needs his protection is patriarchy. That's Willie Lynch. Because the job of the black man is to protect the black woman, to shield the black woman. You understand? That's black masculinity. But now you have black liberation groups teaching things such as hyper masculinity. The black man is too masculine. He needs to soften down a bit. So the same organizations that are saying we are here to fight white supremacy is emasculating the black male. And let me tell you something. The greatest threat to white supremacy is black masculinity. Black masculinity is the greatest threat to white supremacy. So if you are claiming that you're fighting white supremacy, but you are supporting anything that emasculates the black male, you are a liar and the truth is not in you. Does the black man make a lot of mistakes? Did the black man make mistakes? Yes, but understand that that does not come because the black man is a patriarch. Patriarch is a Eurocentric term. We are applying Eurocentric ideologies to African people, and that is what has the black man in such a state of confusion, because Eurocentric culture is artificial. But African culture is natural. So when you take someone who is natural and put them in a system that is artificial, they will be in a perpetual state of confusion. And if you are claiming that you are seeking black liberation, you must understand this, or you will end up perpetuating the same oppression and supremacy that you claim you are fighting. It is lack of black identity, lack of the black man understanding what black masculinity is, that is the result of the black mistreatment of the black woman. And you know how you get back to the identity of the black man? The identity of the black man can be found in Africa. But before you even get to Africa, you can begin the restoration of the black male image by restoring the black male family. Let me tell you something. The black man that is abusive towards a black woman is a black man that grew up without a strong black mother. Because every black man that grew up with a strong black mother will see that strong black mother in every black woman that he sees. No black man that grew up with a black mother that was a role model can be abusive to black women. You see, even them boys always up, bro. Them Babylons. That's them Babylons, bro. Them Babylons, man. But Tupac grew up with Afeni Shakur. And Tupac, yes, he was the one who was accused the most of misogyny. Women's is bitches, women's is whores. Understood, that can be used as an argument. Right? But keeping your head up, that's the real Tupac. Tupac got a song that many people have never heard called I Will Never Call You Bitch Again. You don't hear that song too often. You don't hear that song too often. So Tupac said, listen, I will never stand up here and pretend that I'm perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. But I know my heart. My heart is my mother, and my heart is to uplift black women. That's why when they was putting together the Tupac movie and they was putting together different accounts of Tupac's life, they said even on the set of Juice, if Tupac was on a set of Juice and he saw a single mother walking with her children, he would leave the set in the middle of the take. He would leave the set and walk over to the black woman and he would give her money and give her an encouraging word and motivate her. So this system is all about destroying images, killing the black masculine king, killing the king that was the image of strength and protection and black masculinity to the African slave. It's the same thing they are doing when they drag your name through the mud, destroying the black male image before the black woman. So this system will always take our mistakes and highlight them before our people, because we are a symbol of strength. We are a symbol of hope. And you cannot enslave a people that have hope. As long as people have hope, they can never be slaves. That is why the oppressors knew that they had to take control of our spirituality. Because God is eternal. God is beyond death. So you can kill as many of us as we want, but as long as we are connected to God, which is eternal, that spirit will continue to reincarnate and continue. But once you separate the black man from that which is eternal, now you have a being that is afraid of death. Now you can use that death to control. See what I'm saying? So the lack of positive female role models and mothers in the black community is what leads to the black male now being abusive to the black woman, because he doesn't have that strong black female image to show him the true strength of a black woman. You see, even the black man going to the white woman, it's a lack of that strong black mother in the home that now makes the black male begin to look elsewhere for comfort. You see, and we are living in a system. Let me tell you something. Lupe have a song called The Coolest Nigga. I love this song. It's off his album. I think it's off The Cool. It's off The Cool. The Coolest Nigga. It's off The Cool. I love Lupe Fiasco. When I was young, Lupe helped me understand some things. And in the song that Lupe has called The Coolest, the black man that wanted to become a famous rapper left the black woman that he grew up with, and he ended up getting with another female who was better for his industry image. Lupe hit the nail right on the head. What's up, Chris? What's up, Britt Brat? What's up, Brother Black? What's happening? Lupe hit the nail right on the head. Let me tell you something why black women are largely, why it has facilitated the breaking and destruction of the black home. Black women by nature are anti-system. Let me explain that. Black women by nature is anti-system. Let me give you an example. There's a show called Lip Sync Battle. And on this show called Lip Sync Battle, Tay Diggs, a famous black actor, someone who, like it or not, was beginning to be seen as a symbol of black strength. He was beginning to be seen as a symbol of black strength. They had him on Lip Sync Battle dressed like Madonna, singing in women's clothes, and he was even groping himself in women's clothes. Now, Tay Diggs has a white wife. Now, let me tell you the difference between a black man that is married to a white wife and a black man that is married to a black wife. If a black wife sees that the system, the industry, is trying to get her black man to put on a dress A black woman don't care how much money that black man is being paid. That black woman, by her nature, is going to pull that black man aside. Listen, baby, I know they paying you a lot of money, and I know that this is the opportunity or a opportunity of a lifetime or whatever they say it is. But baby, you ain't got to put on no dress to get paid. We don't need to go out like that. You my man. I don't want to see my man up there in no dress. I mean, I understand Martin and Shanae, was funny, but how come we always gotta be in dresses if we want to get paid? I know they offering you money, but we ain't never need to do crazy stuff like that to get by before. Baby, we done been homeless together. We done been cooking food on hot plates. We don't need that. We don't need to put on no dresses and do all kind of crazy stuff to get rich, baby. God got us. She taught sense into that black man. But the black man married to the white woman. And the system now comes to that black man and be like, listen, we want you to put on a dress for this next skit. A half-naked woman dress. That black woman be like, oh, no, that white woman be like, oh my God, baby, that is so awesome. Oh my God, I just think it's going to be so funny. And while that black man is on that stage wearing women's clothes, that white wife will be in the front row. Oh my God, that was so funny. I showed it to my mother. Oh my gosh, she just couldn't stop laughing. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Look at you, my little black queen. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. That's the difference. That's what Umar Johnson was talking about. So the reason why the black man will go to the white woman is because the white woman helps that black man get into the system. The black man is still trying to get into the white man's house. As Jay-Z put it, the field nigga is still trying to be the house nigga. And it's easier for the black man to get out of the field and get into the white man's house if he got a white girl on his arm. Because the white girl shows him how to adapt. She shows him how to change. She knows how to make him the perfect, unthreatening black male to get him into the White House. And when I say the White House, I am speaking symbolically. I am speaking to economic security, financial security. That white woman knows how to get that black man into that White House, that white economic security, that white financial stability. But at the same time, what that signifies to the white man is that this is a non-threatening Negro. When the system sees a black man coming with a white wife, she is that black man's handler. She is a non-verbal communication to that system that I have him out of control and I will make sure that he don't get too out of hand. That's what that means. But I like something that Jay-Z said. He said, what's better than one black billionaire? Two black billionaires of the same hue. Now you can say, yes, you can say that Jay-Z did a lot of dirt to get where he is, and Jay-Z betrayed the black community and went over to the white man to get where he is. Okay? But while he's over there, he's beginning to notice some things. Michael Jackson did the same thing, but during the latter stages of Michael Jackson's career, he came out with that song, all I really say is that they don't really care about us. All I gotta say is that they don't really care about us. He got in that house like he always wanted to, but in that house, Michael Jackson saw the truth of some things. You see? So Because the black woman by nature is anti-system, the black man who is seeking to be a part of that system so bad is not interested in the black woman unless it's for sex. Because the image of the black woman is over-sexualized. I will go on articles or I will go on YouTube, and if you look up the beautiful black woman, you don't see a black woman that's smart, a black woman that's educated, a black woman that's strong, a black woman that knows herself, a black woman that's self-aware. Whenever you look up the beautiful black woman, you see black women in thongs, black women bent over, black women with their breasts out, black women with their butt cheeks out, black women laid on the ground in bikinis. That is the beauty of the black woman as portrayed in this system. So because the black family has been broken up, and Willie Litt said one thing that we need to do in order to keep them as slaves, because we're bringing over more slaves than us. Towards the end of slavery, there was more black slaves than white slave masters. So they said this can be a dangerous situation if we allow all of these slaves to start coming together. So what we need to do to keep these slaves as optimal property and profit and merchandise, but to keep them from coming together to build something that can destroy what we're building, we need to keep the black man at war with the black woman. So right now, the black male is at war with the black woman. And don't attack the black man, because we are all trying to fight the programming of Willie Lynch that has become a generational curse on our people. The Willie Lynch has become a generational curse on black people. So black people come up, the black male will come up inherently disrespecting the black woman. The black woman will come up inherently distrustful of the black male. And this can be stopped at birth with a strong black male and a strong black woman, a family unit. Because we are born with Willie Lynch and slavery programmed into our DNA. But when we enter this world, it is ultimately the mother that shapes how that child sees women. What is she? She is a black woman. So it is the mother that will shape how that child sees women, especially those who are black. It is the father that will shape how that child sees black males. So if it is a black girl, it is that mother, that black mother, that will shape how that black woman sees herself. If it is a black boy, it is a black father who will shape how that black boy sees himself. So now when the black boy is born and there is no mother and father unit in the home, there is no black male in the home, because Willie Lynch trained slave masters and trained the system to keep the black man out of the home, whether it is through giving him drugs and then locking him up for selling the drugs. Or what does it say? It said after you mate the black slave, because the black slave, like I said, the glory, one thing that is attributed to the black community, to the black person, is strength. So they wanted to breed this black strength into their slave labor. So after they would breed the black man with the black woman like they breed horses to make the perfect slave, knowing that the black mother, out of fear of what they do to all black male images in slavery, all black, strong, masculine images in slavery, so knowing how the mother will train the child out of this fear, they breed the black slave to make sure that the black child comes out strong. And then the fear that they have indoctrinated into the black woman, she trains now that strong black boy to be mentally weak. So now you have a mentally weak workhorse. It is, these are all the things that we are fighting against. So it is not necessarily the black man's fault because he is misogynistic, as they call it. It is the conditioning of slavery that can only be broken by restoring the mother-father unit in the home. But in order for a woman to get government assistance, she has to kick the black male out of the house. As long as there is a black male living in the house, the government will not give that black woman government assistance. And they will tell her, they won't imply it, they will tell her, we cannot give you government assistance because you have that black male living in the house. But they take away all the jobs from the black community, so that black male can't get a job. You see? And they take away the stability of the black family, so that black male in that black woman didn't have a stable family unit to teach them and educate them about what it means to be a father, because their mothers and their fathers didn't have mothers and fathers to learn from. The black community does not have a role model family to look at. In Obama, that was the last 8 years. For 400 plus years, the black family has not had a model black family to emulate. The closest thing we had was Good Times, and they killed off James Evans. So the reason why Florida Evans left Good Times is she said, I joined Good Times because I thought this was going to be something different. Florida Evans was one of the people that used to go to the Malcolm X lectures. So she said, I joined Good Times because I wanted a show on the air that showed a functional black family. Florida Evans said they didn't even tell her they was killing off James Evans. She said she didn't even know that they killed off the character of James Evans until she read the script live on the air. So when she was crying and damn, she was reading, all of the children, JJ, all of them, they were reading for the first time live on air that character had been killed off. So shortly after that, Florida Evans left the show. And she left the show because she said she didn't want to be on the show that was perpetuating the stereotype of the single black mother. So that's why she left the show. When I used to watch Good Times as a kid, I was like, man, I'm tired of seeing us struggling. When are we going to see shows with us getting it? But only now that I'm older do I begin to understand shows like Good Times. Because even though they were struggling, it was through the stability they had as a family that kept them from selling out their morals and beliefs. Because when the black family is struggling, they use the poverty that they put us in to make us sell out our morals and our beliefs. Selling your soul is not drinking blood out of a skull. Selling your soul is not taking a syringe and taking blood out of your veins and then putting a pen cap on it and signing your name to a contract. That's not selling your soul. Selling your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. Selling your soul is turning your back and betraying the principles that you know to be righteous. Selling your soul is turning your back on righteousness. Turning your back on what you know to be the right thing to do. Turning your back on the black will to stay strong in adversity. Your emotions. You know why so many of us as rappers have to use so much drugs when we in that life? Because our emotions, we are condemned on the inside. We know what we're doing is wrong. No matter how many magazine articles and how many interviews they do where they try to popularize and make us look like heroes for the things that we're doing, we know that what we're doing is wrong. That's why NWA wasn't the same when Ice Cube left the group. because they was talking about killing and stealing and hitting niggas in the face. But Ice Cube was the conscience of the group. Ice Cube was the one to be like, yeah, we know we doing wrong, you feel me? But listen, don't you come barking down on us, because we're still conscious in here. We're still awake in here. We still know what's going on, and we are well aware that this is not who we are as a people, but this is how we are being conditioned to be based on our society. So Ice Cube was a subconscious message to NWA and everybody going through what NWA was going through and doing what NWA was doing, that listen, just because we're doing wrong, that doesn't mean that is who we are as a people. We are doing wrong because this is how we have been conditioned to be. So because right now we're in a position where we have to do wrong, don't start thinking that that is your identity. That's who Ice Cube was in the group. So when Ice Cube left the group, now NWA was just niggas with guns. And even Dr. Dre said the group wasn't the same. Even Eazy-E admitted the group wasn't the same. But why did the group break up? Because the system implant that was running the group, Jerry Miller or whatever his name is, the white dude who was running the group, and the reason why I don't want to make it oh, let's just focus on the white man. It is a culture. It is a belief system. What makes that white man that you hate so much, is his belief system. Once we start understanding that this is less about color and more about your mentality and your belief system, then we will be able to see the enemy for what they truly are. Because there are black people out here who has that white man belief system. You see what I'm saying? And if we just looking at the white man, we will let these black people infiltrate our groups and our circles and become implants, just like the implants that was in the Black Panther movement, the Nation of Islam movement, etc., etc. You see what I'm saying? But without these consciousness, we are in a system right now that is conditioning us to do the wrong things. But now we are starting to believe that that is who we are. So we don't even know who we are anymore. So now the black man is looking at the black woman as just a sexual object. Because even though that is his own woman, he is seeing her through the eyes of the slave master. He is seeing her through the eyes of how we as black people are betrayed. So this right now is the condition of the black family. So when I hop on Facebook and I see this article that's talking about pre-colonial Africa was sex neutral, there was homosexuality and lesbianism and transgenderism and all kind of sexual practices running rampant in Africa before the slave masters came. And this article even goes so far as saying that heterosexual, cisgender they call it, but I hate using those Eurocentric terms, but the idea of being heterosexual, this article even goes so far as saying the idea of being heterosexual was introduced to the black man by the slave master. Ain't that some BS? This article, I have to say it again, this article even goes so far as saying that the idea of being heterosexual was introduced to the slave master was the idea of being heterosexual was introduced to the slaves by the white slave masters, and that pre-colonial Africa was a sex cauldron of orgies. That is BS bullcrap. That's bullcrap. Do your research. Stop. I have been blessed to be around truly indigenous African people who are truly about African liberation, not these whitewashed Africans who come over here and act more white than the black people that was here before them. Because when people come over from Africa, they instantly know that I got to separate myself from this blackness. I can't come over here and be too black. I got to separate from this blackness because I'm running from poverty in Africa. So I can't come over here and be too super black. So I instantly got to come over here and start lightening my skin and straightening my hair because I got to get away from this whole blackness thing. I'm not talking about those Africans. I'm talking about Africans like Dr. A.K. Tusu. I'm talking about Ghanaians, Mzansi, South Africans. I have been fortunate for years now to be around true African people who have come over to this country. And they will tell you to your face, most of the stuff that the black man is being taught in America is lies and programming and indoctrination. Dr. AK from Ghana, we will have him as a guest on our podcast. Episode 2 of the podcast coming soon. We are editing it right now. He will tell you there was no homosexuality and transgenderism in pre-colonial Africa. If anybody is telling you that, that is a damn lie. Think about it. Do you know where the obelisk in Washington comes from? The obelisk, the Washington Monument. That is yet something else that they have stolen from black spirituality. It comes from the story of Osiris and Isis, which is the story that the Bible calls Nimrod and whatever Nimrod's wife is. But the Bible came out of Africa. So for all of y'all who say the white man wrote the Bible, no. The white man did not write the Bible. If you actually read the Bible and studied the Bible, look at the mindset of an oppressor. The mindset of the oppressor is the mindset of a Viking. The mindset of a caveman. You club somebody over the head and you drag them back to your cave. You chase after buffaloes and drive steers. The caveman was the one that was legend to have almost drove the buffalo to extinction. The caveman has no harmony with nature. All they know is eat and survive. The Viking has no harmony with any other region. All they know is burn, pillage, rape, destroy. This is the mindset of the oppressor. So you are not going to tell me that a Viking wrote a book as sophisticated as the Bible. A cave dweller from the Caucasus Mountains wrote a book as sophisticated as the Bible. Now, King James and the other Romans of that time translated writings that they found, spirituality and teachings of spirituality that they found from black cultures. They translated it, and even in their caveman mind, the only thing that they were able to understand about these teachings is that they would be a great method of control. The slave master mindset is just control, conquer, oppress, suppress, depress, take over. That is the mindset of the slave master. So when they look at these writings, so I saw an interview with David Banner. He was like, I don't believe that the Bible can be anything beneficial to the black community, because if the Bible could truly be a benefit to black freedom, then it wouldn't have been given to us by the slave masters. Why would the slave masters give us anything that could be used for our freedom? And the answer is simple. They didn't understand it. The slave master didn't understand what they were truly giving us. But the slave master understood one thing: you cannot enslave a people that has hope. That's why they killed Fred Hampton like that. That's why they killed Malcolm X like that. That's why they killed Martin Luther King like that, so publicly and so openly. Why? Because they wanted to kill our symbols of hope. They wanted to destroy our symbols of hope. Because you cannot enslave a people until you first destroy their hope. You see? So they knew that spirituality is a strong source of hope for the black man. A strong source of hope for the black man. And it's spiritual. So no matter what we do to them naturally, they will always have this spiritual hope that we can't touch, we can't take, we can't steal. Because the slave master mind is a natural mind. Something that is untangible is cannot be enslaved. It cannot be oppressed. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be killed. It cannot be murdered. It is a spirit. Hope is a spirit within black people. You see? So they knew that, okay, we can't kill this hope. We can't destroy this hope. And if we kill off all the slaves, we won't have anybody to do our work. We won't have any merchandise to make product, because we damn sure ain't getting in the fields and picking no cotton. We don't have the strength that the black man has. You see? So we will never be able to truly enslave them as long as they have this hope. So now let's take their spirituality and let's manipulate it to make them hope in us. The Bible is not wrong. It has been manipulated to put someone else in place of the God that Bible is talking about. So one thing I learned, I didn't grow up in no church. I thank God. I thank God. I thank God that I didn't grow up in no church, because the church has become another part of the system. The black man has a natural inclination to seek God. So let's use the natural desire of the black man to seek God and make him seek us. Let's replace the black man's natural desire to do the will of God with the desire to do our will by making God in our image. The Bible says that they will make the incorruptible image of God into a corruptible image of man. So when I read that Bible and studied that Bible on my own, not through no other pastor's eyes, when I read that Bible and studied that Bible, I said, hold up, alone in my room, meditating with the higher power, Father God. Black people got to reconnect with the higher power, because yes, we are gods as human beings, but you have to acknowledge that there is a God that is supreme, a God of gods, a King of kings, a Lord of lords, something that is higher than yourself. You see? So studying and reading that Bible, meditating with that higher power, I said, hold up, there is no way that the slave master wrote this book, because this book is telling you how to be free. This book is breaking down slavery, breaking down oppression, breaking down the mindset, the mentality of slavery, breaking down how to break the indoctrination of slavery, breaking down what slavery is. I'm like, there's no way in hell that the white man wrote this book. This book is giving away too much of the slave master's secrets. But I think God allowed the ignorance of the slave masters to pass that book on to the slave. because the Bible was written from African spirituality. So the title, you can go on my page. And if you go on my page, you will see the article that I posted. It's called Reimaging Africa. Reimaging Africa. So now that every black man is becoming conscious, becoming woke, and they are seeking to get back to their roots, now the system is on a quest to re-image Africa, so that the Africa that the black man comes back to is just another version of the system that they are already in. So that's why now they start teaching you that homosexuality is a part of African culture. Transgenderism is a part of African culture. The black woman was the king figure in African culture, and that all of these Eurocentric mindsets that they telling you was in Africa before the European man got there. You see? So in this quest that the system has to destroy everything that is a part of the origin of the black man, the Bible now becomes the only true, authentic African document that we have. As a twist of fate, as a crazy turn of events. Now we just have to sift through all the manipulation that has been done to our spirituality, to change the incorruptible image of our God into the corruptible image of our slave masters. But it's not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Not at all. Because the fight for liberation is a fight that is bigger than any one black man. We have to connect to our God to be victorious in this fight for liberation. So I respect my conscious brothers. I respect my woke brothers, but most of these conscious brothers and most of these woke brothers, they're atheists. They don't even believe in God. So I'm like, brother, you got the right idea, but you don't have no power. You don't have no power. You got a lamp, you got a light bulb, but you don't have no power. You got what it takes to give light, but you don't have no electricity. God is the power of the black man. He is what the black man taps into when the superhuman strength of the black man has reached its limits. See, the black man can discover his superhuman strength and believe that he is God. But that superhuman strength of the black man does reach its limits. And when even the superhuman strength of the black man that goes beyond the limits of other human races that have different attributes and have different strengths, when the superhuman strength of the black man goes beyond the strength of other races that have different strengths that identifies them, now where does the black man go when even that superhuman strength reaches its limits? That is when the black man must rely on his God. On God. You see what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. The family did not start on earth. The family started in heaven. These are all things meditating with the higher power. If you meditate with the higher power, with Yahweh, I don't believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Well, the Jewish people were Africans. So if you don't believe in the God of the Bible, if you don't believe in Yahweh, then you don't believe in the God of black people. Jesus is an African man. No matter what they show you about blonde hair, blue eyes, Jesus is an African man. But he don't want you to get caught up in just looking at the flesh, because the enemy is spiritual. And just like the enemy can possess your oppressors. He can possess you just the same if you're not careful. If you begin absorbing their hatred, absorbing their way of thinking, absorbing their culture, you will end up becoming the same thing, but a black version. Because what makes the white man is not the fact that they're white. Everything going on right now with the white race, they are possessed and they need deliverance. But if we don't understand that the enemy we are fighting is spiritual, what did I say about the black man's God? As long as black people have hope, you can kill us as much as you want, but that hope will keep reincarnating and it will continue on. Well, it is the same thing when you are possessed by a demon. You can kill as many white people as you want. It will not prosper you. It will not prosper you a thing. Because that demon behind slavery, that demon behind oppression, that demon that seeks the destruction of another human being will just leave that body after you kill it and go possess somebody else and continue on. So it don't make no sense to go to war with the police. It don't make no sense to go to war with the white man. Kill as many of them as you want. That demon will come out of them. It will enter somebody else and keep doing the same thing. So what you going to do? Kill all of them? Okay, after you have killed all of them, now that demon will enter you. And now you will become worse than them. Imagine if the black man's strength was applied to the white man's mindset. Imagine how horrific of a slave master that would be. But Fred Hampton taught that this is the same thing that happened in Haiti. When Haitians got their freedom from the French, they became even worse oppressors than the French that was there before. Because they didn't deal with the indoctrination that the slave masters left behind. So this is a spiritual battle that we are fighting. By all means. You see? So I will not let these Eurocentric concepts be planted into the revolutionary struggle. No. Hell no. You see what I'm saying? So, through studying with the higher being, with Yahweh, the God of blacks, the Father of blacks, Yahweh. In the beginning, Yahweh was a power source. I'm talking about since beginningless time. It was a power. The first human form. The first human form was Yahweh, Father God. People can read the Bible, but without the Spirit of God, you will misinterpret it every time. Because now you got these Eurocentric people teaching that a spirit of wisdom named Sophia gave birth to Yahweh. Nothing gave birth to Yahweh. He is all in all. He is God. Alpha and Omega is a term given to the Son. The Son, the sons, the children of God. Son, whether you look at it through Son, S-U-N or S-O-N. Remember, African people learns from nature. So to understand what it means to be a son of God, you can study what the Son does. That's why people said, I don't believe in Yeshua, known as Jesus Christ. I don't believe in Jesus Christ because that's just son worship. You're right. Because remember, the Bible was taken out of Africa. Africans call Jesus Christ Haru. So Jesus is the story of Haru made flesh. And Africans teach on parables and symbology. They teach through allegories. So what Jesus did as a man is the same thing that the sun does to the earth. He gives life. He gives light. In this cold world, he gives warmth. He can even be hot. What the sun does to the earth is what us as children of God is called to do in humanity. Give light, give life, give warmth. So the black man can't be the son of God. Black is a term that has been used to define everything that is evil. Black is a term that is synonymous with darkness. Okay. Well, the Bible says that God dwells in thick darkness. It don't say God dwells in the light. It said God is the light. But light don't shine in the presence of other lights. Light shines the brightest in darkness. So God dwells in thick darkness. That is in the Bible. Which means in the midst of your situations, in the midst of everything that they are doing to us in this systematic experiment called the ghetto, God is dwelling in that thick darkness. You don't have to go and dress up like no female and run from your people and leave your people and abandon your people and betray your people and run to get in that white man's house. The white man is not our God. He is somebody who needs help just like we do. You see what I'm saying? The white man can't help the black man because the white man can't help himself. Matter of fact, when God restores the black man, when Yahweh restores the black man, the white man may actually need the black man for help. Because that's what we did in the beginning. When whites came down from the mountains, we were the ones who taught them how to shower, how to cleanse themselves, how to organize governments, how to grow plants, how to grow crops. When they first came over to America, we was the ones that turned this whole entire forest and this whole entire wilderness into farmland that could produce crops for profit. So you are leaning on someone for help that has been leaning on you for help for over 450 years. But have too much pride to ask. Have too much fear to work side by side. And even if we work side by side, we're going to make sure that you are kept in a lower position than us so that we can use your strength working side by side, but that we can never give you the opportunity to get one up on us, because they think that when the black man is restored, the first thing we will do is come after them, because that's how they think. So they are seeing us through their own eyes. Well, I know if we were slaves and we went through conditions as bad as the black man, the first opportunity we had, hey, we'll take over and we'll kill them off and we'll make sure that they never came up again. That's what the whites did when they came down from the Caucasus Mountains. Because in the beginning, all people lived together. But then people begin to migrate to different parts of the world, north, south, east, west. So when the black man migrated up into the mountains, they got stuck by the ice. They lost their pigmentation, their gland calcified. You can see all of this on the Hidden Colors. They lost their pigmentation. Their hair became straight because curly hair does not protect the back of the neck from the cold. And the back of the neck is where the nerves that transport brain functions to the rest of the body is exposed. So their hair became long and straight to insulate the back of their neck from the cold. You can see all of this in the Hidden Color series. So when they came down from the mountains and blacks came to help them and blacks helped them get on their feet, the first thing that happened was they became Vikings. They became killers. They became murderers. And they instantly became the oppressors and robbers and pillagers and destroyers of everything that opposed their regime. And now they think that when the black man is restored, he will do the same thing. That is why they are afraid of true black freedom, and they will only give us black freedom in measures. And now most of the black revolutionaries that you see on the scene today are those who are seeking greater measures of freedom. But they're not truly seeking the real thing. So one thing my sister said, my sister Alexis, she said, we need to figure out what we are fighting for in order to come together. Although I would dream of all black people coming together, it's not possible. There will always be a house nigga and a field nigga. Always. Even in the Bible, Jesus said, I don't come with peace. I come to divide chaff from wheat. The wheat is the field nigga. The chaff is the house nigga. There must be a division and a separation made. Because through the house nigga's mental weakness, he will always be a source of infiltration into any true black liberation movement. Always. So this separation of a remnant of African people, this separation began when we began to sit down and ask ourselves what it is that we are fighting for. Because when you talk to black people and ask black people what we are fighting for, all we have is umbrella terms. Black man, what is you fighting for? We're fighting for liberation. Okay. Black man, what are you fighting for? We're fighting for freedom. Okay. But what does this liberation look like? What will this freedom look like? Because I'm looking at your organization, and many of the things that your organization is championing is destructive to the very freedom that you're fighting for. In the movie Boys in the Hood, the character Furious D, he said something that was a powerful quote. He said, the greatest way to destroy a people is to take away their ability to reproduce. I will say it again. The greatest way to destroy a people is to take away their ability to reproduce. So you gonna tell me that you're fighting for black freedom and black liberation, but we're going to have in this new free black nation, in this new free liberated black nation, we're going to have homosexuality and transgenderism. We're going to have in this black free nation, we're going to have black boys walking around with dresses. In this black free nation, we're going to have black women walking around with dildos. The way that a nation carries itself on to the next generation is through reproduction. Once a species stops reproducing, it becomes extinct. Why do you think they are pushing so hard for this Eurocentric LGBTQ homosexual transgender agenda to be taught in schools? Because the LGBTQ transgender homosexual agenda, by its nature, cannot carry on. Two men cannot reproduce. Two women cannot reproduce. So by its very nature, it will die out over time. So in order for the transgender, LGBTQ, homosexual, Eurocentric indoctrination to be carried on to the next generation, they have to teach it in schools because it cannot be naturally reproduced. In order for it to be carried on, they have to now indoctrinate this child to this lifestyle. But even when that child grows up under this indoctrination, they themselves will not be able to reproduce. So in order for them to now pass this on to the next generation, they have to teach it. They have to put it in the schools so that it can be taught to each generation that passes by. that is an abnormal state of reproduction. And they have to abnormally reproduce that culture because that culture is not naturally reproductive. You see what I'm saying? So everything in Africa is built off of nature. Everything in Africa is built off of nature. We learn how to sew clothes from watching the spider weave its web. We learn how to... The whole entire world was educated from the teachings of Egyptian scholars. The first colleges were in Africa. But we didn't have no books. We didn't have no colleges to teach us. Everything that we taught the world, we learned through our connection to nature. So it is through our connection to nature that we were able to separate the real from the artificial. If it is not naturally occurring in nature and you are trying to introduce it to us as a people, we knew that it was foreign and we knew that it would be destructive because nature naturally provides for its own reproduction. The sun creates photosynthesis in the plant. And the plant produces oxygen for humans to breathe. And the byproduct of humans breathing oxygen is carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide is what the plants breathe. So nature naturally provides for its own reproduction, for its own progression. But when something is abnormal to nature, it begins to destroy everything around it because it begins to throw off the balance of nature. So if you look at the structures that was built in Africa, they are built among the trees, among the foliage, among the natural habitations of Africa. But if you look at Eurocentric dwellings, before they build, they wipe out all the trees in the area. They drive out all the animals in the area. They completely upset and destroy the ecosystem when they move in. This is the characteristic of Eurocentric culture. And anything that is taught by Eurocentric culture will facilitate the same process, destruction. You see? So, the honor in Africa, the honor of the black king, the black family, was the heir to the throne, the firstborn male. That's how you know that the Bible is an African document, because all through the Bible, Abraham, Jesus Christ, Moses and Pharaoh, Isaac, you keep seeing this reoccurring theme of the firstborn male, the firstborn male, the firstborn male. That is not a Eurocentric mentality, because Eurocentrism is driven by profit. So in the Eurocentric culture, a child is just another mouth to feed. A child is just someone else to take care of. But in the African culture, the child is the pride of the family, that firstborn. So if you know and study your indigenous Al-Kebulan, Al-Kebulan is a name referring to pre-colonial Africa. If you study your African origins, Al-Kebulan, you study original African culture, you will see that the Bible is an African book. But the reason why they say the Bible contradicts itself is because you're trying to interpret an African book with a Eurocentric mindset. That's where the contradiction comes from. But it is an African document, because the pride of the African family is the firstborn, the first reproduced. The reason why the African woman is worshipped as God is because she can produce, because she can create. And I will get to where the Washington Monument comes from. She can produce, she can create. The reason why the black man is worshipped as God in African culture is because he protects that which creates. So if you know your culture, if you are reconnected to African culture, then you will know that black masculinity is the protection of the goddess. And you won't equal black masculinity with white patriarch. If you know your African culture, you will know that the godship of the woman is her ability to reproduce. And you will not let any culture and any indoctrination coerce you into living a life by which you cannot naturally produce you. Any life that takes away from you naturally producing is taking you away from your godship, black woman, and women all over the world, because Egyptian spirituality was not just to blacks, but all of us lived together in that culture, in that civilization by which these teachings were derived. You're separating yourself from your godship when you destroy the black woman, black man, because your godship is you protect that which creates new life in the earth. You are taken away from your godship, black woman, when you take yourself away from, you put yourself in a lifestyle by which you cannot reproduce, because the godship of the woman is that she can create new life. So now when people come in, yes, we are here for the freedom and the liberation of the black community, and the first thing we are teaching is transgenderism. Hey, player, don't come over here with that Eurocentric crap. Well, what you mean is Eurocentric, because the Eurocentric culture is abnormal. It is not natural. It does not have a harmony with nature. That's why the Eurocentric culture constantly has to conquer. It constantly has to destroy. It constantly has to assimilate. It constantly has to absorb. It constantly has to devour, because it is in a natural disharmony with nature. So whereas nature provides through this harmony for its own reproduction, that which is abnormal to nature will instinctively die. Anything that is not connected to the ecosystem, to the harmony of nature by which nature naturally provides for its own reproduction, will die. It will die. So you've been taught by your church that sin is doing bad things. No. Sin is an African concept, meaning anything abnormal that separates you from your natural ability to reproduce and take care of yourself. When you steal, you shortchange someone else and you break up the natural ability that everything connected to nature has to sustain itself. If you didn't steal from that person could have invested that money into a job that could have hired you. But because you stole from that person, they don't have that money to invest. Because they don't have that money to invest, that job is not created, and you are left having to continue to steal. The Bible is spiritual. You cannot read it with a natural mind. Nature naturally provides for its own maintenance and sustainability. Anything that is abnormal to nature will naturally die, and it will have to constantly consume and absorb and assimilate in order to survive. So sin is the things, the abnormal things you do to survive when you are separated from the sustainability that comes with being connected to nature. So when the Bible says that Jesus came to die to take away sin, and it says, I did not die for sin, What that is saying is that I died to reconnect you with nature. So now it says under the new promise, under the New Testament, that now that you are reconnected to nature, you are set free from sin, because sin in African spirituality is the things that you do as a result of being separated from nature. But now that I have died to tear the veil and reconnect you with nature, as long as you now act and access this reconnection, you will be free from having to do the things that are called sin. When you are reconnected with God, you won't have to do the things that are characterized as sin, because sin comes as a result of being separated from your nature. You see? So, for the record, I have no problem. I have no personal problem with homosexuality and lesbians. If you grew up in the hood, you got some homosexual friends, you got some lesbian friends. Because homosexuality and lesbianism is yet another result of Willie Lynch, of the broken family. It all comes back to the broken family. This is true. In order to restore a nation, you first have to restore the family unit of that nation. As long as the family unit of that nation is broken, that nation cannot be restored. You have to first restore the family unit of the nation in order for that nation to be restored, because the family unit becomes the microcosmic blueprint for the macrocosmic nation. When the family is broken, the nation will likewise be broken. You see what I'm saying?
So the black boy that grows up without a strong black father will become homosexual. Why? Because he is unconsciously looking for that love that he never got from his father. The black boy that grows up without a strong black mother will be abusive to women, because he doesn't have that image of the black woman to properly dictate how he sees other women of his race. The black woman that grows up without a strong black father will become promiscuous. She will become what you call a thought. And I will never refer to my women as thoughts. Black women as thoughts. But talk to every woman that you characterize as a thought, and you will see that she did not grow up with a father. And if she did grow up with a father, he was there, but he did not do the role of a father. You can have a man in the house, but he's not a father. You see? And every woman that grows up to be lesbian is a woman who did not have a strong relationship with her mother. So she is unconsciously looking for the love that she did not get from her mother. So I can't say, oh, I hate the black homosexual, the black lesbian, because they come from the same conditions that makes the dope dealer, that makes the prostitute, the same conditions that had me in shackles. They come from the same Willie Lynch conditions. But right now, blacks are in a state of confusion.